What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/AmITheButthole. Alright, this story's called, Am I the Butthole for Getting Frustrated with My Mom for Being in the Kitchen at the Same Time as Me? I, 18 female, have a super repetitive and predictable routine. Every morning at 9:55, I go into the kitchen and pack my lunch for work. Every morning at 9:55, my mom decides she absolutely needs to be in the kitchen as well, emptying the garbage, rearranging stuff in the cupboards, wiping down the counter, whatever. But it's like she waits for me to go to make my lunch and then comes in. The kitchen isn't very big, so she's always bumping into me while I'm cutting stuff up or standing in front of cupboards I need to get into. I've asked her politely a couple of times if she could wait until I'm done. I take 10 minutes max, but she snapped at me for ordering her around in her own house. Yesterday, I was cutting up vegetables and she came in to wash dishes and ended up bumping into me while I was using the knife. I got a small surface level cut on my finger. It honestly wasn't bad, but I was so frustrated with her that I snapped and said, maybe if you didn't insist on being my personal backpack every morning, this wouldn't have happened. My parents are saying I'm a butthole for snapping at her like this, but my sister is siding with me. I feel bad for being rude, but I also think it was partially justified on my end. Am I the butthole? No, because as far as I know, you're the only one on a schedule. You didn't say she had to go to work or anything either. Maybe she's a stay-at-home mom, or maybe she doesn't need to get everything done right that instant. Like when you have to get ready for work. And you did ask her before politely, so I don't see how this could be anyone else's fault other than hers. This story's called Update. Am I the butthole for getting frustrated with my mom for being in the kitchen at the same time as me? I got a much bigger response on my original post than I ever thought I would. A couple hours after I posted it, I realized I left a lot of information out and wanted to clarify some things as well as provide an update on the situation. Some people asked if I pay rent or own the house. It's my parents' house and I don't pay rent. I can't afford to move out right now, and my parents don't want to let me move out until after my first year of university. Some people also asked if I'm autistic. I have ADHD, which shares a lot of traits with autism. I stick to a strict routine because it's the only way I'm able to remember to do everything I need to do in the morning. A lot of people suggested packing my lunch at a different time, or even the night before. I have tried this before. No matter what time I went into the kitchen, my mom followed. I tried it again a couple of times since making the post, and she continued to follow me. I took the advice of some people who told me to try going into the kitchen as usual, but leave when my mom got in my way and tell her I'd wait until she was finished. I even made sure the kitchen was spotless the night before. Dishwasher emptied, no dishes in the sink, counters wiped down, and trash emptied. She followed me in, and when I said I'd wait, she said she was done. Almost as soon as I went back in, she followed me in again and claimed she had forgotten to do something. A lot of people pointed out that she might just want to spend time with me, which I hadn't thought of before. I think that maybe me getting a job, finishing high school, and starting to work towards getting my driver's license made her realize I'm growing up and won't be dependent on her and living at home for much longer. But she just wants to spend as much time with me as she can before I go. Or maybe she doesn't feel as mom as she did before. What finally worked was, after dinner a couple of nights ago, asking her to pack some leftovers from dinner in a separate container for me to take for lunch the next day. She seemed really happy that I asked and didn't follow me into the kitchen the next morning. She even left a sticky note with a smiley face on top of the container. I also asked if she could drive me to work, which gave us the chance to chat and catch up in the car. I think she just missed feeling like I needed her, which I always will. Even though we butt heads sometimes, she'll always be my mom, and I think I just needed to find a way to remind her of that. I wrote my original post feeling super frustrated at my mom, but teared up at finishing this update. Sending a massive thank you to all the kind people who commented and helped me work this out. Wow, what a plot twist. See, I was originally thinking, wow. I mean, I didn't think of the reason, but I was thinking, geez, it sounds like she's intentionally almost antagonizing her, but just so shows how wrong I was. Very cute and sweet, heartwarming, wholesome, if you will. This story's called, Am I the Butthole for Refusing to Buy Food for Anyone in My Household Anymore? I don't know why I read the titles like that. Everyone eats my food. If there are leftovers takeout, my dad and sister will pick it off until there's just a little left for me. If I buy food and keep it in the fridge until my mealtime, they'll ask each other if they can eat it. For example, I had a sandwich. I ate half of it and literally announced, I'm going to save this for dinner when I get back home. Everyone acknowledges what I said. So I come home, it's gone. I ask where it is. My ma said that my sister ate it. I ask her why she ate it. She said our ma told her she could. So I go back and ask our ma why she told my sister she could have it, and she says, oh, I didn't think you wanted it. So I started leaving notes on my food. Then it's, oops, sorry, OP, I didn't see the note. Or, well, I was just so hungry, but there's blank in the fridge. It's not that our parents don't buy groceries either, but I work so much that by the time I can sit down and enjoy food, most of it's gone. It doesn't matter who bought the groceries, it's the same way even when I buy them. So now I'm refusing to pay for anyone's food, ever. I'm just so frustrated. I literally cried a little bit because I'm so tired of all the food being eaten. I'm so hungry, think I have tasty food at home, and it's gone. All I've been eating lately are bologna sandwiches and 99-cent instant ramen. Of course, everyone in my family thinks I'm being petty and immature. My sister is upset because she gets like $30 a week from her job. She's 15, and I get paid almost 10 times that. I don't think I'm being immature. This is the only other way I can think of getting my point across. That all said, I would be lying if I said I didn't feel a tiny bit guilty. Am I the butthole? Edit. Thank you sincerely to everyone who took the time to respond. As annoyed and frustrated as I was also worried that I was being silly, immature, and overreacting. I will look into getting a small fridge to keep my food in my room. Again, thank you. Edit 2, please stop suggesting that I spike my food or poison my family. Final edit. Thank you to everyone who left messages and ideas on how to proceed with this. I don't think I can have a small refrigerator, but I do intend on getting a lockbox for the fridge and finding a spot in my room for non-perishable snacks and such. It's embarrassing it has to come to that, but I think you guys are right. Your comments have made me realize that I have much deeper problems at hand than my family eating my food. My dad and my sister have entitlement issues, and my mother is an enabler by being so passive about it. I'm gonna think of ways I can stand up for myself effectively. Thank you all for taking the time to leave support and advice, even though you didn't have to. It really does mean a lot to me. Yeah, they're jerks. They don't listen, and you know what? I deal the same stuff. Everyone eats my food here, and it's upsetting. It really is. So that's why, in my opinion, this is after many hours, years, hours and years, either one, of research, I've determined that the best way to get people to stop eating your food is to, over time, make them think food is gross and make them scared of it. Not food in general, but your food. Better yet, just make it so that that nobody gets hungry ever again. You might have to kick photosynthesization into our evolutionary path. Yes, many hours or years, I don't know which one it was, of research has led to me saying that. Obviously, I'm joking. Let's see what's next. This story's called, Am I the Butthole for Refusing to Buy Food for Anyone in My Household Anymore? Hello there. Since so many people were gracious enough to leave advice on how to handle this, I decided I'd give you guys an update. So I decided I wasn't gonna get a mini fridge for my room, but I did get a little cage for the family fridge to keep my leftovers in. My ma thinks it's ridiculous, but accepts it. My dad, surprisingly to be honest, thought it was hilarious, and it made my sister really annoyed because she thought I was overreacting. As for everything else, I went to Target and got a storage box to keep my snacks in and put it in a safe spot in my room. Many people's comments made me realize that my issue at hand was far bigger than my family eating my food. So at dinner, I talked to everyone at once about how I felt towards their food thievery. My ma was immediately regretful, and I do believe that she feels bad. She offered to immediately replace the food that was eaten, but I said it was okay. I don't want compensation, I just want it to stop. My dad, I'm not sure if he feels bad, but I did remind him that out of the two of them, I'm the only one that actually leaves the house and works on their feet. They work from home. So I think that I'm entitled to having my own food without worrying about it going anywhere. He seemed to have gotten the message. My sister didn't take it well at all. I'll spare the details, but it was a long and loud rant about how she doesn't eat that much of my food, and I was starting to annoy her. I don't eat as much quantity-wise as the rest of my family does. Apparently, her logic was that since I'm not currently eating it, it should be okay for her to eat it instead. My mom tried to help me explain my feelings to her, but she started yelling louder and stormed away. Her attitude is a different can of worms for another day. In the end, I am very confident that the situation has been worked out. I'm glad that I was able to successfully communicate to my parents about how I feel, and that I now have a system put in place where I can actually eat the food I buy without having to worry about someone else taking it. Thank you again to everyone who left advice and pointed out what the real problem actually was. Yikes. Well, I'm glad that the symptoms of the greater illness have been dealt with, or some of the symptoms, but you gotta get to the core issue at hand, which is entitled people, but that's another subreddit for another day. Am I right, OP? Haha. Alright, this story's called, Am I the Butthole for Not Telling My Husband Why His Uncle Wasn't Invited to Our Wedding? I got married a few weeks ago. We had 13 guests, meaning there were 15 of us in total. The rules allow for 20 people, but when we were planning, we could only have 15. Invitations were limited to just family and wedding party. In addition to my husband's immediate family, he has 2 aunts and an uncle who were on the list, and his mom confirmed she would tell them about the wedding. It was our 3rd date, so we didn't have time to do invites. His mom kept saying she invited her brother, the uncle, but he never responded. About a week before the wedding, Scotland changed lockdown rules, which meant we could have 20 rather than 15. Mother-in-law responded to the news by saying she'll now invite her brother. We found it odd when she already invited him. As she's in her mid-70s, my husband became really concerned that perhaps there's something wrong with her and she's becoming forgetful. I told him I think she may have never invited him because she wanted to invite a cousin in his place, based on her saying how much she wanted cousin there. My husband said she wouldn't do that, and he's really concerned. Last weekend, we stayed at their house while they were away. I was looking for a pen and saw a piece of paper with my name on it. It also had my sister-in-law's husband's name on it. Naturally, I read it. Background: I'm a woman of color, and my husband is white. Sister-in-law's husband, Pete, is against our marriage because of that and made it clear he would boycott the wedding. We didn't care as long as sister-in-law came. The note said we should make the effort with Pete and reach out to invite him personally to the wedding, even though she knows how we feel and how he makes me feel. It also said the uncle can't be invited in case Pete accepts. Mother-in-law did actually tell my husband we should invite Pete to the wedding, with the exact same points as noted on the paper. It seems that mother-in-law did not invite uncle and never did, so that there was space for Pete at our wedding. When it was clear we could have more than 15 people, so that there was room for Pete and uncle, she invited uncle. For your information, we never reached out to Pete. Issue is, my husband is still worried about his mom and thinks she wouldn't cock up something as big as inviting her only brother to her only son's wedding, so something must be wrong with her memory. I haven't told him I saw the note because, 1, even though I was genuinely looking for a pen, reading the note was snooping, and 2, I feel strongly that we should never badmouth in-laws to each other, and telling him the truth would go into that category. I discussed this with a friend, and she called me a massive ass for letting my husband worry about his mom when the reality is she was plotting, and I'm disloyal to my husband by not telling him the truth, especially when we just got married. However, I actually think I'm protecting him by not telling him what his mom did. Am I the butthole for not telling him the truth? Yeah? Your intentions are nice, and your reasons for not telling him are as well, but he's not a child. He's an adult. That's why you're marrying him, right? Because if you're marrying a child, we have a whole other issue here, okay? So yeah, you definitely should have told him, and if his mom is a plotting, woman that plots like that, like some sort of plotter, then he should know that. Like, like, you don't know what kind of situations you might run into in the future where knowing that information could, make a big difference in a decision or something like that. So, such as, pulling the plug. I'm kidding. But you get what I'm saying? This story's called Update! Am I the butthole for not telling my husband why his uncle wasn't invited to our wedding? Some of you asked for an update in whether I told my husband the truth. I took all your comments on board and realized, you're right, I would be the ass. I didn't want to cause drama, but I can easily see this being a slippery slope. So I mentioned it to my husband a few days after this post, took the approach of saying, I know you're worried, I was looking for a pen, etc. Basically, I was completely honest. His initial reaction was silence. And then he said, but Mom wouldn't lie to me. I said, I know. I'm just telling you what I saw, so you don't worry about it. Then he again said, but my mom wouldn't lie to me. I changed the topic. That was the honest extent of our conversation, which was almost about 3 weeks ago. It hasn't come up again, and I've not mentioned it. I did immediately regret saying anything, but realized that at least I've mentioned it, so if anything like that happens again, he can see there's a history or a pattern. It's what I said. My husband is extremely naive and trusting, as is his dad. But his mom is someone who knows what she's doing, whilst acting all cheery and ditzy. Oh, that's dangerous. I really struggle with their failure to support me on the issues concerning my husband's brother-in-law, but a friend of mine made a good point to me yesterday. Whilst I'm married to my husband, I will always be an outsider to the family, and they just want to see their daughter and my husband's sister happy and not caught in the middle between her brother and a racist husband, which my gut says she doesn't completely disagree with. She's told my husband he has his reasons for his views. Probably really stupid reasons. Unfortunately, them doing that is at my expense, and to an extent, my husband's. My husband has my back when it comes to his brother-in-law, but he's also keen to not cause too much of a fuss, and I struggle with that lightly. I'm just grateful we don't live anywhere near each other and see them once every few months. Otherwise, I would struggle with always putting on a happy face with them when I'm hurt over their lack of support about the things my brother-in-law has said about me. Oh boy. The only one who I think does want to support me and expresses outrage is my father-in-law. But my mother-in-law always talks over him when he starts saying it's not acceptable. Ooh! I love woke old white men. It's a great thing. I love it. Because they've got like the energy of a, you know what? I'm not gonna get into this because I don't want to make anyone feel alienated. As long as you're not poo-poo head, you're welcome here, guys. Anyway, OP, good job for being honest and stay true, stay righteous, virtuous, all of these usus. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.